I'm gonna let y'all get through what you got to say.
But that's so.
When did they get a buy? 8?
Sir, all year.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock. Time to begin our September 20th meeting. This time we'll call ourselves to order. And Larry, we'll recognize you, sir, for the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. City Council uses the consent agenda to consider items that are non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and on one motion and voted the council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a council member or citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following 7 items. The first is for the purpose of approving the date change for City Council strategic session from October 4th to the 18th to hear a progress update on Center Theater from our consultant team. Item 2 is for the purpose of approving the capital budget for infrastructure improvements for hangar expansion and the long-term land lease, with MD Aviation, which is the current maintenance operator at the Monroe Executive Airport. The lease will support MD Aviation's desire to build a new 11,400 square foot hangar to continue their existing services and expand into air cargo operations. The airport's infrastructure improvements are not expected to exceed $1 million. MD Aviation will pay 1/4 of this cost through a cost-sharing provision in the first 20 years of the proposed lease. The lease provisions include 2 20-year terms and 2 5-year renewal options. Of note, the two provisions of the lease that were initially distributed to the General Services Committee had several grammatical errors which have been corrected. The first was the lease. The lease was not intended to be subject to review and approval annually. And the second was that MD Aviation will be paying all real property taxes associated with the premises rather than the city. Item 3 is for the purpose of approving the memorandum of understanding to join the regional management group of the water supply planning in Yadkin PD River Basin. Membership offers participation in the regionally coordinated, collaborative, and comprehensive approach for management of the water resources in this basin and to jointly pursue projects such as hydrologic and hydraulic monitoring of the basin, regional water supply master plans, studies of additional water supplies of the basin, and coordinated drought response plans. Item 4 is minutes and reports. The first of which, 4A, is concerns disbursements for fiscal year 2016 through 2017. Council members are provided $3,000 each on an annual basis for disbursements at their discretion towards items that meet the public purpose definition of permitted items that the municipality is authorized to perform. There are 2 sets of disbursements for this period. First, Councilmember Anderson disbursed $500 to the Cata Band Boosters Club. And item 2, Councilmember Anthony had 2 disbursements, first of which was $500 to the Community Health Services entity and $500 to the Christian Family Care Home. The next group of items are 4 sets of minutes, lettered 4B through 4E. 4F is financial reports for August 2016. In summary, the unassigned general fund balance is a little more than $3.7 million as of August 16, 2016. The formal assigned fund balance of 25% pursuant to city policy is a little more than $9.8 million. And the total fund balance is $29.9 million and change as of June 30th, 2016. Item 4G, summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and settlement of claims for this period. Number of contracts are 53, totaling a little more than $720,000, and there were no claims settled for this period. Item 5 under consent is for the purpose of awarding the contract for repair and replacement of recreation maintenance facilities roof, the low bidder, Able Exterior Remodeling and Roofing, in the amount of $175,000. Item 6 is for the purpose of adopting a resolution authorizing the grant application to North Carolina's Department of Environmental Quality's Asset Inventory and Assessment Program, which we are seeking a $300,000 grant in funding and has a 10% local match. If awarded, the funds will be used to establish a comprehensive asset management program to assist staff with management of water and wastewater assets using a GIS integrated software package combining asset management condition assessments, inspections, capital planning, work orders, and reporting functions. It will replace a hodgepodge of standalone spreadsheet applications, obsolete, unsupported stovepipe software programs, and it will support data entry of information related to consolidating and integrating those files and systems. Item 7 is for the purpose of awarding the purchase contract for a sewer jet truck to Public Works Equipment Supply, Inc. in the amount of $264,000 and change. The new truck replaces a 1998 model jet truck that had reached the end of its useful life with Monroe. And members of council and mayor, this concludes my summary of items placed on consent.
Okay?
Okay.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, consent will pass. We're going to regular agenda now. Item 8, a presentation from Union County Public School Board, bond, from the public school bond. I recognize Ms. Harrell at this time. Ms. Harrell, welcome, and Ms. Harrell is a school board member. Glad to have you with us.
Welcome. Good evening, Mayor Kilgore, all city council members, and other day's guests. I am Sharon Harrell, and I'm here tonight to present a slide presentation to you regarding the bond that will appear on the November 8th ballot. As you see here, Union County Public Schools, there are approximately 53 schools with approximately 42,000 students. And the breakdown here with the little acorns shows the number of high schools in white. I guess that's maybe lavender for middle schools and gold for elementary schools, and then we have 3 special schools. The achievements within the 53 schools certainly lead to the Leader in Me Lighthouse School, the National Blue Ribbon Schools. There were 2, 1 Leader in Me Lighthouse, 2 National Blue Ribbon Schools, 8 A-plus schools of distinction, 67 team state championships. And then, of course, they have the 9 splash immersion programs, quality schools, 111.2 million scholarships were awarded to the class of 2016. And of course, there's also an ongoing project for innovative teaching and learning for leaders. 2000, 2004, 2006. Bond results in 23 new school construction products. I won't take the time to read them here, but I will remain for a second to let you get an overview of the 23 schools that have been affected by bonds in the year 2000, 2003, and 2006. On November 8th, voters will decide on a $54 million school bond. As you see here, there are 6 schools highlighted, and I believe the following slides will allow you to see these schools individually. Why do we need this bond? Increase the capacity for 6 schools nearing cap. At whatever point the current capacity, when it reaches a level that it would be difficult for other students to enter because of space constraints, this bond will allow for the increase because people are continuing to move into Union County regularly. We want to sustain growth through 2025, 26, address safety repairs and ADA, renovate aging facilities, remove aging mobile classrooms, and construct a new transportation facility with adequate service bays and parking. And I do remember in one of the meetings that I attended that the current transportation facility only has, I believe, and for a fleet of over 400 buses, it does make maintenance, it can be an issue if you don't have enough bays because there's no, oftentimes buses need repair and there has to be a wait, and that's not conducive to student movement of students. For the 2016 bond projects, first we have Monroe High. They hope to add 8 classrooms, 2 teacher workrooms, 2 teacher offices, additional storage, increase school capacity to 1,500 students, that being the maximum. 13 mobile classrooms, and this school was built in 1960. And I have a particular fondness for Monroe High School, as that is where I was graduated, where I had an opportunity to work as a teacher, a counselor, and then in the school system as a whole as a social worker. Next, we have Piedmont High School. There will be an addition of 4 classrooms, 2 teacher offices, 2 teacher workrooms, additional storage, and that school capacity would be increased to a maximum of 1,600 students. And certainly it was also built in 1960. Porter Ridge Middle School, they hope to add 15 classrooms, 2 teacher workrooms, expand the media center, add additional storage, increase student capacity to 1,600 students, 21 mobile classrooms, and this school was built in 2005. And I neglected to speak out the dollar amount for the other 2 schools, but I'll start here with Porter Ridge Middle of $6,272,514. Next, we have Porter Ridge High School. They hope to add 4 classrooms, expand the cafeteria, increase student capacity to 1,800 maximum students. And this was also built in 2005. And the bond amount that would be set aside for this school, $1,496,196. Western Union Elementary, they hope to add 8 classrooms, expand the cafeteria, 2 teacher workrooms, remove 3 mobile units, increase student capacity to 804 for their maximum capacity, and this school was built in 1955. The amount of money allotted for this project would be $3,882,437. Sun Valley High School, they hope to add 10 classrooms, have an auditorium renovation, expand the administrative office area, expand the media center, add teacher workrooms, expand the cafeteria and kitchen, have a new chorus room, HVAC, and plumbing upgrades. This school have an allotment of $24,364,734. Also, within the Sun Valley renovations, ADA renovations, remove mobile units, increase capacity for students to 1,800 maximum, of course, the new athletic stadium, and then this school was built in 1960. The transportation facility. They want to build the new facility on Gold Mine Road with a 723 square foot with facility with office space. The increase to 16 bays from 3. Parts and storage areas, secure parking. Current facility does not meet DPI recommendations, and this facility was built in 1980. And one thing I'd like to add here that is not necessarily a part of the slides is that so much of what is done within Union County Public Schools, maybe people are not aware of, is that the Department of Public Instruction outlines what needs to be done in the various counties with the 116 school systems. And I think some people in the community feel, well, why doesn't the school system do this? Why don't they do that? But there are very strict Department of Public Instruction recommendations that must be followed, and those things are outside the purview of the regular school system administrators to change. The tax impact for the $54 million bond, there would be an estimated tax increase of 16 cents per $1,000 valuation. For example, if you have a house that is worth $100,000, then your tax increase for this portion of the bond would be approximately $16 annually. How can bond funds be spent? Proceeds from a bond issue can only be used for the costs associated with construction and renovation of facilities, acquisition of land, and purchase of capital items. This is another major factor that needs to be spoken out loud so that those people who may have, they may be vacillating, should I or shouldn't I? If this bond is passed, it will the money that will be used for these specific things, and the bond proceeds cannot be used for teacher salaries. Frequently asked questions: why do we need a new transportation facility? The facility on Venus Street was built in 1980. The facility does not meet the Department of Public Instruction's recommendation for a fleet our size. The current facility has 6 maintenance bays. The new facility will have at least 16 bays. UCPS has more than 400 buses in its entire fleet. Each day, approximately 300 buses travel more than 29,000 miles, transporting 31,000 students. How were these 6 schools chosen? The Board of Education recommended these projects to the Board of County Commissioners after a comprehensive list failed. These 6 schools were identified based on enrollment forecasts and McKibben data through 2025-2026. Western Union, Sun Valley High, Porter Ridge Middle, Porter Ridge High, Piedmont High, Monroe High will soon exceed current school capacities, causing overcrowding, larger class sizes, and possible capping. And at the point that any of those things happen, there would need to be a shift of students. So with the bond hopefully passing, that would allow perhaps more stability within communities, and people wouldn't have to uproot their families and go buy one school they live near to get to another school. What was the 2015-16 enrollment forecast for the 6 schools on the bond list? This is somewhat small even for me, and I'm looking right at it, but actually for Western Union Elementary, they have a watch level of 678 students with a cap level of 778. And if I remember, they were hopeful of making the capacity 804. So for 2015-16, the average number of students that attended Western Union per day, 707. Certainly it goes in the same context for middle school, Porter Ridge Middle, watch level 1,300, capacity level 1,400, and they had enrollment of approximately 1,348. For Monroe, for high schools, we have Monroe, watch level 1,100, cap level 1,200, and the enrollment was 1,151 for the 15-16 school year. Piedmont, watch level 1,430, cap level 1,530, and the enrollment for 15-16 was 1,365 students. And Porter Ridge High, 1,600 watch, 1,700 cap, and they are at the point of having 1,693 students that attended 2015-16. And finally, Sun Valley, they had a watch level of 1,560, a cap level of 1,660, and the enrollment for 2015-16 was 1,377. And the projection, what you will see in yellow, particularly for Western Union Elementary, all across will give you from the 2016-17 school year the numbers that they project out through 2025, 2026. For the middle school, is the what you see in yellow is also those schools with this school as well as Western Union will be at watch level from 2015-16 to 2020-21, and cap level in the pink or red would be 2021-22 to 2025-2026. And then for the high schools, the watch and cap levels are going to vacillate back and forth. But this is another reason why, particularly at the high school level, the bond references increasing the capacity of the schools to accommodate students who may well, with what the McKibben report stated, may well move into this area by 2025, 2026. How will community members and school stakeholders be engaged in bond projects? Each school with a bond project will have a project advisory team that will participate in the planning and design of the additions and renovations. This team will consist of parents, community leaders, students, teachers, and administrators. My child's school is not on the list. Why should I be concerned with renovations, additions, and a new transportation facility? Union County residents value quality schools and adequate learning environments. When school capacities are properly managed and planned for, it benefits the entire county. Previous bonds were approved for new schools renovations between 2000 and 2009. Supporting this bond allows UCPS to increase school capacity in high-growth areas and creates countywide stability through 2025, 2026. What happens if this bond doesn't pass? The Board of Education will have to work with the county to develop an alternative plan to address overcrowding, larger class sizes, aging facilities, and ADA renovations. Other schools waiting for capital improvements will be delayed. So the passage of it will have a positive impact on everybody in the county. Certainly the non-passage, even those schools that are the 6 schools that are not highlighted, the impact of it not passing will also have negative consequences for everybody in the county. When will my school get needed improvements? This bond referendum is separate from our annual capital improvement plan and will allow other schools to move up the list for needed repairs. And the capital improvement plan is outlined on the Union County Public Schools website if anyone is listed. And I did have, through being a part of the board, the opportunity to see this plan in meetings and have discussions around it. And in any school year that renovations for any schools planned, if those renovations are allowed to move forward, then the next year, the next set of schools bumps up automatically. But you do run into problems where in any one year, if improvements are stalled, then that backs everybody up. And so that's just another point to consider. Voting information, voter registration is open. Early voting begins October 20th. And for the benefit of everyone in this room, including myself, because I'll vote too, I hope that you will have found this information helpful. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I might not know the answer, but thankfully, Dr. John Jones from Union County Public Schools is with me, and also the principal, Dr. Mike Harvey at Monroe High School, who will be receiving part of the renovation money. Between the three of, among the three of us, we should be able to answer. Thank you for your time.
Any questions, Ms. Harrell?
Ms. Harrell, that was as good a presentation as I've heard in a long time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Really good.
I was very nervous and concerned.
You in the
You
show.
did a good job.
Thank you.
Well, and I'd just like to say, you are a true asset to the school board, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
And it's been my pleasure serving as liaison for the city council as well. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Harrell, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Good presentation, great job. And certainly, Mr. Harvey, glad to have you with us tonight, and Mr. Jones, we're glad to have you with us. Thank y'all for coming, and thank you for the presentation. Yeah, please, thank you, sir. That's my light man right there. Thank you, sir. Item 9, presentation of economic development annual report. Chris Patay, sir.
Sorry about that. Mayor Kilgore, Council, Manager Faison, thank you again for the support that we've received throughout this past year. Just want to provide you an annual report as per the interlocal agreement with the county that we provide this to both of you every year. The past year is different than our other previous years. We were listed in 2014 and 15 as the #1 county for incoming investment in North Carolina. This year we were #9. But a lot of that was as a result of us digesting the previous year. This year the results are the worst in my career, as well as the worst in Monroe and Union County, with $8 million of capital investment over 3 projects and 56 new jobs were created. The nice thing about this is the unemployment, as we were digesting all those jobs from last time, unemployment continues to drop. So it dropped another 19% over this past year. The other thing to remember is between the 2 years alone, we put in over $1/3 billion in investment into the county. So I'm very proud of that. As we've emptied that pipeline and we're trying to fill that pipeline back up. We maintained the lowest unemployment for 17 straight years, as well as adding in almost $56,000 worth of grants to our industries. And then also received statewide recognition for the entire staff through the accomplishments, and that was through the Economic Developer of the Year award. The other things that we do primarily is the existing industry. We want to take care of those guys first. So we held our 17th annual Industry Appreciation Day, just concluded our 18th annual as well. So again, this is looking back in the last fiscal year. This past spring, we were able to complete the supervisory training. Instead of doing traditional seminars, we went with a supervisory training seminar series. It was 6 in a row, occurred over March, April, and May. This came out of a wage survey that we did with our industries and found that that was a need that they wanted taken care of, things that South Piedmont and others had not been focusing on. And again, the way South Piedmont's funded, it's a little bit hard for them to do some of these type of things because they're always paid in arrears. So it was an opportunity for us to do that and provide something at very low cost for the companies. That was such a success. We're doing it again this fall, and we're looking to do the same type in the next 12 months, and that'll be around leadership. So, but huge success for that component. Ron and Gretchen were out working with over all the industries, about 200 separate face-to-face interactions with our industries. That does not count our events, in which we interact with them as well. There's also 20 other issues that had to be resolved throughout the year. So working with those industries and trying to help them through that. The labor shed study is something that we're extremely proud of. So we did it last year. This is the second year that we completed that. So in April of 16, we were able to finish that. Participation went up. So the previous year was around 30% of our industries participated. This year it's about 40. And the participation spread. So it became more county-wide. And as a result of that, some of the numbers showed a little different. Last year, this number of the manufacturing employees that live within the boundaries of Union County was around 61%. So that went down as we started to pick up particularly companies to the west. So those people that live in Mecklenburg, York, Lancaster counties. So there was a couple companies that did not participate that were in Monroe. So we actually feel that this number is truly around 55%, 54 to 56%. Of those 51%, as polled, 57 live within the boundaries of Monroe. So Monroe is still the hub of the manufacturing base as well as the manufacturing workforce. 20% of those, again, of the 51% that live within the county, 20% live in the rural part of the counties, and the remainder live to the west. When I started here in '99, the average wage was around $9 an hour for our hourly folks. Today, that's 18. So when you look at that, that is purely aerospace. It's driven that number up and forced everybody, that rising tide, forced everybody to pay more. And again, the other precision manufacturing that we're bringing in, so we're very happy that the average wage of our hourly folks is right at $18 an hour. It shows that you can have a true career in manufacturing. What's even more surprising is this jump. So when you look at the salary, non-executive wages, so if you take out the people that are running the facilities and you look at their supervisory level, their engineers, those kind of things, the average now, the average in the county is $72,660, which is just a huge number for manufacturing. And again, 27% of the workforce county-wide is aerospace, and all of that really does sit in Monroe. So I'm very happy with that. One of the things that came out of this year was one of our companies, it was not in Monroe, it was actually in the western part of the county, took this data and went to their headquarters and immediately got a 20% across-the-board wage increase for their hourly employees. They had 140 employees that generated almost $600,000 of new income to Union County. So, again, something that doesn't cost us other than time and effort to put this together, generated that kind of benefit just for one company. It most likely has done that throughout the county. Social media is extremely valuable for us to trying to get our message out. Utilize all of the big ones: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You also use our Unite Us campaign to really focus in on the Facebook side. Allows people that aren't really engaged in economic development to accidentally learn a little bit about us and what's going on in the county, about the industries and everything else. So he single-handedly, he's the sixth person in our office, doesn't take any benefits or salaries, so he's great. But Unite Us has definitely generated a lot of activity on Facebook for us. Again, more articles out there that were positive about the cities in the county, and then particularly Southern Business and Development always ranks us again top 5 in something related to aerospace every year. As they look at the Southeast, Aviation Week, Smart Asset, NerdWallet, Charlotte Business Journal, as well as others. So when we emptied that pipeline, it was really important that we go out and try to recruit more projects into the pipeline. So we were on the road a lot this past year. We exhibited at the Farnborough Air Show in the UK, went to Hanover in Germany for the Hanover Mesa Show, the largest manufacturing show in the world. Speed News Aerospace Conference in California, Florida, Austin, Texas, Kentucky, Nevada. We were trying to get out there everywhere to get projects. And Farnborough Air Show is by far, and always between that and Paris, was always the most successful show that we go to. This year we came out with 4 new projects, which was, again, for any show to come back with a real active project is amazing. To come out with 4. So you always come out with leads that hopefully will lead to something years from down the road. We actually have 4 active projects out of that show. We also have our annual events, the Groundhog Day, Industry Appreciation, and the Broker Appreciation Event. Product development, still incredibly important. It's one of the reasons that the successes this year were so low. It's because we just don't have anything to sell. People are interested in Union County, they're interested in Monroe, but there's nothing here. We have one building, 19,000 square feet in Indian Trail, that's viable. Everything else is junk. And so they're either looking at, you have to find a project that's going to build something brand new, or they're going to look to find a building. So we're trying to find additional sites throughout the county to develop that. Spec building was designed and bid and awarded by you guys. Thank you so much. That cannot come any faster than, we're just wanting as fast as possible. Working with Indian Trail on siting an industrial park, they're looking to try to create their own, as well as with Waxhaw, trying to create some sort of specialty niche park for them. Spec building that was awarded was 109,000 square feet. So this hopefully, through its awarding the contract negotiation, and finally the thing getting under construction, hopefully by the next month, it'll be built and finished by May of next year. As a result of this thing being on paper, not the dirt scratched at all, we've had 2 projects show up just because we're getting the building underway. So again, what we've been preaching about, we need a building, we need a building. Our history with the first 3 are showing true again with this one. So I was actually out at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We were out showing the site, trying to get some people to visualize the building sitting there. So this is the part that's not as pretty for us, for this year at least, is the 300 job goal was the 56 jobs. Investment wise, 60 million and 8 million. But again, look at it cumulatively, and we're well above. We did basically 5 years worth of work last year, or year previous. This is what we're really proud of. We're dropping down. We're at 4.3, 4.1% unemployment. In all intents and purposes, that's full employment. There's a certain part of the workforce that is just not as good of quality once you get below 4%. at least from their work ethic standpoint, things like that. They just create a lot of turnover. So we're, you know, the Union County is growing, so it's continuing to bring in a good flow of labor force to keep growing that. So while over this same period, we grew 2,000-3,000 people in workforce. So looking beyond, again, continuing our seminars, we'll finally get our handbook out this year. Looking to always continue to work with our existing manufacturers and the business-to-business interactions, as well as work with our local municipalities. And the big one that we're trying to get underway, it's just obviously nothing is as easy as it first comes across, is the interlocal agreements with the 5 towns for the retail initiative that we're starting. We're excited to have that about to come through. We've got still answering some questions on the interlocal agreement. So hopefully that will be ratified here by October. Short-term concerns, it's a continuation of what we faced last year, is the lack of product. No buildings, no way to sell it. And companies have just waited to the point they don't have enough time to wait for construction. So they want a building. And they're going where the buildings are. York County, for example, right now has 5 spec buildings underway. So that shows where they are with the competition. Any election year is a challenge for us, as companies tend to wait and want to see which direction things are going to go, be that with healthcare or other sort of taxing initiatives, regulatory initiatives, those kind of things. So it always creates some problems for us. Come November, the phone starts stirring again. Once they see, they don't really care which direction, they just want to know how to lay out their future plans. This year, being a little bit more interesting of an election, it has created even more uncertainty. So everyone is really sitting on the sidelines. So the other thing is the pipeline. Sitting there, pipeline's 37% of the goal that we needed when we ended the fiscal year. So when you're 37% of your goal on project generation, it is definitely going to cause you some delays and unfortunate not meeting your goals. So you can see that was the result of last year when we ended. We had 13 prospects, 7 projects, and 7 prospects, 10 projects, 3 announced. The nice thing is, if you start to look at this year from July 1 to today, we've already had $3.6 million invested. We're looking to have another announcement hopefully in the next several weeks. And then this is the biggie. It's already got 204 jobs announced. So definitely companies are starting to make their decisions. They're starting to get settled out with things politically and everything else. So hopefully we're going to, with some of the other projects that we have in line, we should be right at goal this year. And then jobs should far exceed the goal. That's a quick and dirty of the year. Any questions?
Good job as always, Chris.
Chris, how do we look as far as our region is concerned? How are we looking this particular year, of what we got here in the region?
Again, when you counted some of the investment that kind of trickled into, because our fiscal year versus the annual years run over each other. So that's the reason we're still at 9th in the state,
Right,
of all the 100 counties. So we still look pretty good statewide. Region-wide, we're okay, but this level of investment, we can't maintain that. We have to continue to get investment in.
It'll get better.
Otherwise, we're going to get surpassed pretty quickly. So places like Cabarrus have sat, they just put in an economic developer. They haven't had one for a while. So Lancaster's had some disruption, if you look in South Carolina. So we've had the benefit of our neighbors also sort of having some real problems. And so I think they're getting their house in order. And so I think we'll have our building ready to go. We should have some other announcements. So
Chris,
we'll be in good shape.
if we had another spec building finished 6 months ago, would we have sold it?
I would have, if I'd have had 50,000 square foot buildings, I could have probably sold 4, within 30 days of them being available. So we lost a couple projects to Mecklenburg. Our existing industries left to go to Mecklenburg, to a higher priced area, because there was no buildings for them to go to.
Do we have space available to build a couple 50,000 square footers.
It's getting very tight. So at this point, the corporate center is almost built out. If you look at what land is sort of being reserved for folks, there's the private piece, 70 acres, that's owned by a consortium of folks. Even that piece is now being gobbled up. If we have some projects come to fruition, that at least 2/3 of that's gone. So at this point, Monroe's going to start to really need to focus on another industrial park. So again, not necessarily this next year, but pretty quickly. And I know we've had some discussions with several property owners on trying to get that, as well as the projects in Sutton Park. If we can get DEQ to actually give us a brownfield agreement, we can start to move forward. I think we are okay with, I think Cooper Tools is getting very close. So then the company Apex Tool that owns it now can actually tear the building down, and that'll open up 70-ish acres over in Sutton Park. So while we have some things laid in wait for those additional properties, I think we're going to still need to think long-term.
Well, after the 109,000 square foot building is built, how much land we got left at the airport right now to build on?
Well, if everything falls the way it should, the extension road that we are building with the spec building, all that property's gone. And then we have a 17-acre tract that's got somebody's name on it, and then the 70 acres. So we'll have about 45 acres left in the park. And the land is got some topography issues, so we'll have to, probably spend some money to grade those sites.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item 10, public comment period. This time I have one person signed up, Mr. Patterson. We recognize you this time, sir. And if you could
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
condense it to about 3 minutes, we appreciate that, sir.
Michael Patterson, and I'm just following up on the concerns of the residents of East Village subdivision. I did last week put a copy of an article I wrote in each city council members, hopefully it got into your office. Anybody see it?
I got it. Yeah.
Outstanding. I just mostly wanted to ensure that you did get it.
Right.
And I trust you to do the best job that you can do. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Patterson. Thank you, sir.
Well, Mr. Patterson, this is the third time that you've been up here and talked with the council, and I think that the city attorney, city manager has explained to you that there's nothing really that the city can do on this, about this homeowners association. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm just wanting you to know that there's nothing that the city can do.
I understand, ma'am, concerning the homeowner association.
Correct.
But I'm sure you can see greater issues other than just a homeowner association matter when you look at, you did see this, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I read it.
It's greater issues, a homeowner association matter that I believe created or generated some concern. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else here who would like to speak at the public comment period? Okay, thank you very much. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion to adjourn. Have a second. All in favor? Aye. Adjourn. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
That will.